Thank you, Dr. Foster. We've got a couple of members that want to follow-up questions, so we're going to be concise. We've got limited time. Mr. Higgins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jaikaran, in your testimony, you described blockchain as not being a panacea technology or not appropriate solution for every industry or company and its management of data. Other than the ability to edit, inability to edit transactions, and I'm going to ask you, is that correct? It's
well, that might be one way, but yes, blockchain adds.
Other than the inability to edit transactions, what are some of the risks of using a blockchain to record vital information and data? And I'm thinking within the governmental sector specifically.
Sure. Thank you for the question, sir. So in a government implementation, one of the big challenges with government is the user base. The user base is dispersed. Unlike private sector, that users and businesses might align, and in this particular example, on technical savviness, government doesn't get to choose the technical savviness of its user base. So one of the bigger risks here is something we've already discussed, that a user loses their key, and their ability to then transact on that public identity becomes a challenge. So in addition to data not being able to be edited previously in the chain if a record was inserted inappropriately or inaccurately, the ability for a user to then conduct a new transaction might be difficult. Those are just two in briefly explaining it.
What's your opinion regarding the inability to edit? It occurs to me, for instance, regarding the Freedom of Information Act or public records request at the state or local level. If a blockchain, if the data within a blockchain cannot be edited, how can it be redacted?
That could be a potential problem. This goes back to, I discussed three attributes: business, legal, and technical. This might be both a legal and a business case when one is considering applying blockchain technology. Does that entity absolutely need an uneditable ledger of transactions? The other side to that is maybe there's data that they do not publish to that blockchain, that the data is actually held on some other system that can be edited, but the record of that transaction, the record of that document being made, or whatever that transaction might be, not all these transactions are financial, that is then published to the blockchain so that there's some knowledge of it.
I don't think we've touched on that yet in this hearing. So there can be a marriage between a more secured system that's isolated from a blockchain and a blockchain system. Mr. Cuomo, would you comment on that, sir?
Yes, we've implemented several systems that enable right to be forgotten by marrying exactly what you said together, two systems. One is a secure data store where a document or a piece of information is encrypted, and then a fingerprint or digital hash of that document is then placed on the blockchain. So what is being redacted is not the information, but the cookie crumb that you put on the blockchain stays, right? So there's still a evidence that something happened.
So potentially,
but the information could be deleted outside. Yeah.
So potentially a government system could be developed that would allow for the dissemination of public data through public information requests or freedom of information requests, and still allow that government entity at the local, state, or federal level to redact data.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Cuomo, you stated in your written testimony that an enterprise blockchain network is fault tolerant. Can you briefly elaborate for us on that, please?
So in an enterprise blockchain like the Hyperledger Fabric, it's a modular architecture that supports a variety of consensus algorithms, and modern computer science supports a number of such algorithms that are fault tolerant, and one of them is the Byzantine fault tolerant algorithm that is emulated from the Byzantine general problem, which is, back in the day, I guess, a general couldn't trust all his messengers, so he had to ensure that his orders were carried out even in the presence of bad actors. So MIT and others formulated algorithms that allow the operation of the general order to occur even in the presence of some couriers that may be, bad actors.
Fascinating. Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins.